Call the workshop to order for Tuesday, July the 28th Transportation Workshop, and I'd like to ask Commissioner Harvey if he would give us the invocation, followed by Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Goddard.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for a day of opportunity to serve our fellow man here in Putnam County. Father, today's transportation meeting, we have a lot on our agenda, a lot of topics to discuss. Let us be open, let us be candid, and let us just seek your wisdom, Father, as we try to move Putnam County ahead. Lord, I ask the blessing on our staff. I ask the blessing on those who prepared this agenda. And Father, most of all, I look for your wisdom and guidance, as all of us do, in moving Putnam County forward. And we all said amen.
Amen.
Amen. You'll join me. I pledge allegiance
to the
flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Goddard, for that. And we'll move straight into public comment. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate on matters of which the board has received no prior information. We don't have it on this agenda, the rhetoric, so I'm going to refer to the earlier agenda. The public's encouraged to watch on YouTube Live or by sending an email in advance of the meeting to BOCC meeting comments at putnam-fl.com. Please include your name, address, and phone number. Okay, Laura, do we have any communications?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, we're going to, I'm going to move into the port, but I can't do it until 2:05. So we're going to take a 2-minute recess, and then we'll convene the Port Authority meeting at that time and recess the board. At this time, we're going to convene the Port Authority workshop. Is there any public comment on Port Authority, Laura?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. With that being said, we're going to move into item B. And you going to take that, Mike Troxel, or is Mike and Mike going to take that?
Commissioner, I'm gonna take this one. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is for the St. John's Avenue drainage project, simply about the future attenuation pond site. During the design process, it was concluded that the optimal location was the pond that the Port Authority owned. The last Port Authority meeting we went through, and you guys had asked to look at Camarco and see if we could utilize his parcel for that drainage project. We have done that, and he's pushing back and doesn't really want us to use that parcel of land. Since then, we've looked at other solutions, but due to the timeline from DEO and additional funding to move that pond site other than where it is currently shown in the plan, that's the only one, that seven acre plot is the only one right now that's feasible for us to do. So what we're looking at, if we put that 7 acre pond site in the back part of that parcel, we still have about 8.5 acres of developable land along PRC Way that we can still use to market our existing park. So we're requesting that we approve that 7 acre parcel of land for the drainage.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I think that we went through the exercise, and I think that Camarco was not completely against it by any means, but he said that it may hamper his future expansion plans that he has in the if this works out. So I think we need to move this forward, especially being as though we're at risk of losing our DEO funding if we don't go ahead and get it done. So this commissioner will accept a motion on the issue.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the PRC Way site retention pond away from as presented today.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Pickens to accept the engineering as presented today on the project and move forward. Is there any further discussion?
Under discussion.
Commissioner Rawls.
Am I hearing you correctly? Because you're kind of muted or muffled, Mike. Is that 7 or 10 acres?
It's a 7 acre pond site, sir.
Okay. All right. As I told Mr. Chalkson before, I'm not happy about this. Our back's against the wall, and we really don't have any time to do anything with the other 10 acres that I wanted us to look at, which is on the south side of St. John's Avenue. We did speak to Nancy. She said that there is a possibility that as they're moving forward with this design, they can also look at that piece and maybe divert the water over there. But I'll vote in favor of this. I'm just not happy that we're having to do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Is there any further discussion, Commissioner Pickens?
I just got a question with the 7 acre retention pond with the 8.5 that's in front that developed, correct? If something was developed there, would they be able to use that retention pond also, or would they have to have their own retention ponds? I'm just thinking of future expansion. If somebody decided to build a large building there, would they be able to tag onto that, or that's be strictly for the community? That's it.
Well, I think that would be up to what we allowed them to do at that time. They could, if there was any room to increase the size of the retention area, then the county could have let them do it at that time. If it's designed to be a dry pond, they could turn it into a higher volume wet pond. I mean, those are options, but it just would depend on what they needed and how big an area they would need it. But still, a 8.5 acre site is still fairly large for a commercial venture, I think.
Okay. All right,
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Rawls.
When Mike and I were talking to Nancy, she said that the other ponds that are adjacent to that property are already, there's other ponds that already include that are, so you already have the retention for that land figured in. Because I'd ask about utilizing, there's that little, I'm looking at the picture that Mike left me, but there's that little pond off to the west. And she said that that was already utilized and the business part for calculating the retention. So it cannot be added on to.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. At this time, we're going to adjourn the Port Authority workshop and reconvene the transportation workshop. And we're going to take item 4A, which is the maintenance agreement with the Ocala National Forest. Who wants to take that one, Mr. Troxel, or the mics?
No, sir, I'll take this one as well. As you know, we've been trying to work with the forestry department for the maintenance of those roads. And the last time that the commissioners talked to them, they were looking at entering in an agreement, Schedule A agreement, if Forest Road 29 and Forest Road 62 were completed, because they were doing some work on those. As it stands now, Forest Road 29 is currently under contracting, so that will get fixed. But Forest Road 62 is not scheduled to be contracted to get fixed. And so what we want to do is find out what the board is willing to do in order for us to enter into a Schedule A contract with their current company, which I think was Orange Construction at the time, to see if we wanted to piggyback off that to do any of the maintenance.
Sorry, I was muted. Excuse me, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Troxel, you are still muffled, but that's okay. Last time we had talked about these two roads, the forestry department was going to get quite a few $1 million to bring these roads up to some resemblance of a road after the hurricanes went through that area. That's my understanding before we were going to accept the maintenance on these. And it wasn't a total acceptance of the maintenance. My understanding was forestry was still going to do some maintenance once they brought the roads up to snuff. Am I correct in understanding that?
Sir, I don't have that information with me, but I believe you're correct. I don't think that we were going to do all the maintenance on those two roads.
Well, it seems to me like, if I may, Mr. Commissioner Harvey, it seems to me like when we discussed this, that we were very adamant at that time about that they had to bring those roads up to a level of service that Putnam County agreed to.
Right.
And it's my understanding they have not done that yet. And that until they bring those up to that level of that we were not going to sign a maintenance agreement to take the roads over. Now, Commissioner Goddard goes out there more than I do, and so he can give us an update shortly, but it was my understanding last I heard that these roads were still not up to county standards. And once they were, we were talking about hiring somebody else to go out there and maintain these roads, some person out of Orange Springs or somewhere that does other work in the forest currently. And if that's the case, then number one, I guess we'd need to get updated prices on what it would be from the guy that's planning on that we're going to hire to do this work. And we also need somebody to go out there and inspect and say that they're up to a level currently to a level of service that would that Putnam County wouldn't have to go out there and rebuild the road on Tuesday of next week. That we could just start putting them in the grader schedule for a grader. Commissioner Goddard, would you like to update me on that, please, sir?
Yes, sir, I would. Now, I still didn't hear what Mr. Troxel said. I tried my best to hear it, but he's very muffled. Yoho did get money allocated to the forestry to take care of these roads, and it was during the time of us getting this paperwork signed. And what happened was we'd send it over, and they'd say we didn't dot an I or whatever, and they'd send it back, and then we'd send it back. They'd sit on it. It seemed like this thing has took forever, but they were given money they've been doing a lot of road work out there on the other end. And they did put in the culverts. From what I can tell out there, they put in the culverts on 29, but that's all they've done. I think you're right. I think we need to make an appointment, probably Mr. Troxel, myself, and get with the guy with Orange Springs, who that's who we were going to contract it with, to go out here and see what he says he needs in order to get that road back up to where it should be in order for us to accept it.
Yeah, it wouldn't, to me, it wouldn't make much sense for us to take this next step and just forget about the history we've had with them and them not willing to keep up their end of the bargain or keep up our end of the bargain either, which is that they bring that road up to a level of service that any other road would, a good dirt road, if there is any good dirt roads, a good dirt road in Putnam County before we take that over, where we don't have to spend a lot of money going out there and redoing this. And I'm not sure anybody ever answered. I see you, Bill. And I'm not sure that anybody ever answered the question back then, can we even work on a forest road with it being a private road not belonging to us? I think we looked into that, but I'm not sure. Commissioner Goddard, if you'd give me just a second, Commissioner Pickens is over here waving at me. Yes, Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, I understood, like I think y'all did, that we could not do anymore. That's why we got dinged in the audit. So that's why we quit doing it. And then we had all the hurricanes, and I understood that Congressman Yoho got the forestry some money to take care of these roads. But what I remember is that we were considering taking back the maintenance on 29 and 62 after they brought those up to a level of condition that we were comfortable with, and then we would probably enter into a contract with a private company to take care of it. But until they bring those things up, I don't know that we can do that. And then I understood that we had to have something, an agreement signed between the county and the forestry before we could do that. So that's what I remember. So it doesn't seem like they're holding their end of the bargain again.
That's right.
Commissioner Goddard, did you have anything to add, sir?
Yes, sir. This document right here, which is our pages 8 through 15, this is the contract that has gone back and forth between the forestry and our department. And basically, if the two parties could ever come to an agreement, this says that they are allowing us to be have right of way on this and maintain it almost indefinitely. We have the right to walk away from it if we want to, but we'll have a contract in hand that says they are giving us right of way to maintain 62 and 29. But again, it has not been signed because it has not been vetted through us, and the roads aren't ready.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Nimitz, are you trying to say something, sir?
Yes, sir. If I recall correctly, there was an easement involved with this that had to be finalized by the forestry. And that's what would enable us to be able to utilize our resources to maintain that road.
Yeah, but before we'll accept the easement, they're going to have to bring that road up to the level of standard that they agreed to do. And I think that's part of the issue is they want to give us the road right away and say, okay, now you can go spend all the money you want on our road. And that's not what we agreed to, if I'm remembering correctly.
Correct.
Yes, sir, you're correct on that. And I believe they received somewhere around $600,000 in funding from Yoho, and they were supposed to get it up out of the water table and repair the hurricane damage and everything else. And none of that stuff has been done, if I recall correctly. And that's kind of where we've been at, waiting for them to bring it up to a county standard so we get the easement finalized and move forward with maintenance. So it's kind of still moving forward.
Okay, so it sounds to me like, if I'm listening correctly, that we're not willing to bring forth this agreement at this time until the Forestry Service upholds their end of the contract. Is that what the commissioners are saying or not?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Well, with that being the case, unless there's any objections, we're going to move on to the next item then, which is the proposed resurfacing list of 2021.
Again, this is the proposed resurfacing list. We've got 11 different roads on the resurfacing list for 2021. This is not the final list, but I just wanted to get it in front of the board to go through. I've talked with everybody about this, and so there will be a final list coming out next meeting. But I just wanted to get this out there because our goal is to both for this one and the next one is to get these done sooner rather than later, so that we can press on and get these executed earlier in the year of appropriation.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you presented these to the board today, and if everybody will review them, I guess did I hear you right? And you just said that you're going to come back for a final list at another transportation meeting in the future?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that'll be good. If anybody has any issues about what's going on the list, we'll if you'll get with Mr. Troxel and talk to him. Mr. Goddard, you waving at me, sir?
Yes, sir. I can't hear anything that Mike is saying. Sounds like Charlie Brown to me. But if it's agreement on this, on the draft that I was already given, then I'm good.
Oh, sorry for laughing, sir. I thought I was on mute. Maybe before we have our next meeting, we can get one of our IT people to go over to Mr. Troxel's office and figure out why we can't hear him. Okay. The next item is the proposed dirt to pave list, which is on 21 of your packet. And I'm assuming it's the same thing, that's just your proposed list at this time that turned out the highest of the survey numbers that you use to grade, to decide which road is going to be done next. Is that correct?
Yes, we look at those first, the highest graded areas, and then but we also look at other factors as well as like there's a group that's in there that will allow us to not take a grader in a certain space or a certain area as well. Then we also look at the district. So for like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, those weren't all graded the highest. Some of those were graded fairly high, but we decided to put those on the list because those are all in one area where we could get all those done. We don't have to take a grader back in there again.
Okay, I knew that we were using. I see you, Commissioner Harvey. If you give me just a second, please. I see that we've got most of the short dirt roads done. I had asked you the other day to check in on the chip seal process, that I thought we had decided to do some chip seal roads this past year. And I'm not asking you, have you done that yet today? What I am asking though is, I know that's a big deal, is that we're trying to keep graders out of certain areas or driving 5 miles or 3 miles to get to another graded road. So if you go all the way down East River Road to where it hits Esperanza Shores Road, you got one Class 1 road that's about a block long or a half a block long, and they're having to run a road grader all the way out there now to do that one road because everything else in the area has been paved. So I think that we need to look closely at putting that last road in that area on the list, which is Atkins Lane, I believe it is. I talked to you a little about it this week about it's in bad shape and it's hard to get a grader out there because there's not another dirt road in the immediate area. So it makes it even harder to get it on the list. So if we could look at that particular road, I know that we're always going to have some roads out in the Duns Creek area that are going to be dirt. I don't know that in the foreseeable future that we could pave every single one of them. So we're still going to have a grader in that area. But I think there's 2 roads back in the back. One of them I think is Fran Lane that I'd like to take a closer look at. And there, I think the one right next to it, the name of it, I don't have at the moment, but I think it's the one next door. And those would be the last 2 in that whole line of roads along there. So, I think if we could start tying up the last of these previous projects to where we get these last few roads, and not just my area, but every area, especially when they're one block roads and we're going to have to drive a grader 2 or 3 miles to get to them. We can start looking at them. So if you would look at those 2 roads when you bring back the final list, I would appreciate it, Mr. Troxel. Yes, Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah,
Excuse me, Bill. Commissioner Harvey had his hand up before. Commissioner
all right,
Harvey, I'm sorry, sir.
Let Commissioner Pickens have the floor. I'll come back to it, okay?
All right, Commissioner Pickens.
It won't take long, Commissioner Harvey. Mike, if you'll look at the District 1 roads, the first 2, I actually, went down those or went by those yesterday after we met. And so you got North Lake George Drive and South Lake George Drive. If you'll look at Palm is right there too, less than 1/8 of a mile from South Lake George. So you still would have to come into that area to grade that road. And it's shorter than either one of these other roads. But if you would look at that one, see maybe if we could put it on the list or shuffle something around, and I'll get with you on that. But it's Palm Avenue. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it was kind of a joke for Mike Nimitz to put my roads on that list. We kind of got a laugh out of it the other day. Mike, I'm watching you. If you remember, number 4 and the alternate number 4 Main Street are the ones I want to take and make a dirt road back out of them, not a paved road. So I think that was kind of a funny, and we kind of had a laugh sitting around there. Number 11, though, is not in my district. That's in Commissioner Goddard's district. And I think he's already gotten with Mr. Troxel about that. I do want to say, though, about Arizona, number 12, and the alternate number on Main Street. If Mr. Troxel and I met with Anderson Columbia last week out there on site about reclaiming those roads, using their reclaimer to make it back to a dirt, kind of a dirt milling road, if you will. If money is tight and that's the way we get those 2 done, I'm okay with that. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I also want to bring to your attention, there's 3 roads right here close to the house in the MSBU, the old MSBU dirt to pave that we did years ago, the citizens did. Mr. Reynolds has told me there's $47,300 in that money, in that MSBU that needs to be spent in that district. I asked Mr. Troxel by email the other day to look at those 3 roads because I don't know what the cost of those roads would be, but let's just throw out a number, pick any number, but we have a funding partner of $47,300 sitting there. That's the same pot of money we used to fix the road in front of my house that failed. So there is some money there, and I've asked Mr. Troxel to look at that. If we can get the MSBU to come up with 25, 30, 40% of the money, it might make sense for us to spend our money wisely there. But Mr. Troxel's got that information, and he is working through Public Works now on getting that cleaned up. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Give me just a second, Commissioner Goddard, if you would, sir. I see you waving. I'm pretty sure that the roads that we've identified here in the first go round of dirt to pave is less than the budgeted amounts of money that we have, because they were developed along with, or maybe even previous to, finding out that they had a $3.5 million pot of resurfacing money this year to be used up from Better Place. Plus they've got another $1 million on top of their gas tax money to be used as resurfacing if the budget stays as it is today. So I'm not so sure that we're up to $3.5 million in dirt to pave yet, but I think that every year commissioners should identify these small 1-2 block roads that we're having to bring a grader in to do these and try to get them knocked on out as we go through this process. So I think that that's just prudent for us, and it's best for the county. Commissioner Goddard.
Yeah, I was out there with Mr. Troxel we looked at Old Gainesville Highway. I asked him not to do Old Gainesville Highway. In order to do that road, you'd have to take out oak trees to create the drainage that we need. And these are some old oak trees. And most of the residents out there do not want that road touched. They don't want it widened. So I've talked to him about where right now we have Lynn Road that we're going to be tying into, and Nancy. That is a bus route. And I think our money would be better spent in there. He's going to check into the feasibility of it, make sure that it's cost effective. But that looks like it would be money better spent, like you were saying. Instead of sending a grader out there to do this one out of the way, we can knock all these out and be done with them.
I'm working on it. Thank you. Couldn't get it to quit. So anyhow, Mr. Troxell, if you'll, I think you know, continue working with the commissioners in the areas, and you're going to bring this list back, a final list, and try to get up there around the budgeted amount when we get to it, correct?
Yes, sir. And I met with Philip already on the roads that we had talked about, and so we're going through that list now, and then we will have a final list for you guys up to that budgeted amount. Okay, good deal. If there's not any more comment on the proposed dirt to pave list, then I'm going to move on to item D, which is the St. John's Water Management District Alternative Water Supply Project Cost Share Opportunity. You taking that one, Mr. Troxell? Yeah, I'm hoping you guys can hear me a little bit better. But this is a grant that we're looking for. And it is proposed to install new water lines down East River Road. The good part about this is that it should be zero cost to us. Now there is a cost share, but in the past we have been able to document that we can't supply the needed share. So the other ones we've got through these grants have been no cost share to us. And the other good thing is this is a shovel-ready project. Jones Edmonds earlier has designed this complete system for us. So if we were able to get this grant, this is shovel-ready. We can go ahead and get this thing.
So you're just asking us today if you can apply for the grant and try to seek the water management grant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you need a motion, or can you do it by consensus?
Mike, can we do it by consensus?
Yeah, if you can hear me, so just consensus, but also if I could get the chairman's signature on the waiver, so that we can not have to provide any matching funds. There's a waiver for that for Ready Communities. I just need the chairman's signature on that.
I'd be happy to sign that, Mr. Rodriguez, and I see all my commissioners doing their happy dance in their offices. So
thank you.
Did you want to speak? Are you wanting to speak, Commissioner Pickens?
I just had a question. How long is the grant process? Is it a year, 2 years?
Well, the other two grants we got, Commissioner Pickens, we applied for them, and we applied for them last year. We got them last year, and they're almost finished at this moment. So it's usually not very long if you're successful.
Okay, thank you.
You know, even if we ended up having to pay just a little bit of money toward matching, guys, we can't make Putnam County go forward without having utilities and services, at least in some areas. So by consensus, I think I saw all my commissioners. I can't see Commissioner Rawls.
My thumbs up.
Your thumbs up. Good enough, sir. Thank you. With that being said, Mike, if you'll get those papers over here, I'll sign them. If you'll get them to Laura Parsons, or Julianne, either one, they'll run me down. They can find me better than my wife. So we're going to move to the next item on the list, which is the CDBG MIT Planning Support Program Opportunity. You going to take this one, Mr. Troxell?
Yes, sir. Again, Public Works is seeking funding to create a feasibility study through this grant. And this is county-wide, is to look at all of our drainage county-wide. Our goal with this grant is not necessarily to get shovel-ready projects, but to clearly identify executable projects that we can undergo as we identify grant opportunities or whatever. But this is a planning grant that we can use countywide in order to make this happen.
Sounds good to me. Does anybody have a problem with us trying to get this planning grant? So by consensus, would y'all wave at me, and Commissioner Rawls, if you'd tell me your thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
All right, so move forward with that one too. Commissioner Harvey, did you have something to say, sir? I thought you was waving. Okay, yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to change the wording on one thing. Where it says drainage in Putnam County, Mr. Troxel, the second paragraph under the summary, would you change that Rodman Reservoir to Lake Ocklawaha, please? That is the official name of that, Lake Ocklawaha.
I'll have to get the proper spelling for that one.
I got that in the comprehensive plan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out, Commissioner Harvey. We appreciate it. And
Yes, sir.
with that, we're going to move on to item F, which is LPA 0041, Putnam County East Drainage and Flooding Mitigation Amendment. Is that you too, Mr. Troxel?
Yes, sir. Again, this is for the additional $455,000 plus for the East Putnam, for the East Blackhead Drainage Project there. As you know, we got some money earlier, and we're still in the process of getting all the TCEs required. We've got about 20% of those done, but this it's additional almost $456,000 will allow us to do more work throughout that area.
What are you asking us to do today, Mike? Are you wanting us just to approve the acceptance of the 455 legislative appropriation, which is phase 2 of that project?
Well, this is more of a information because we don't have anything going to improve until we get some stuff back from DEG on that. Mike, can you elaborate a little further on that one?
Well, I think we're good for now, Mike. I think we all know that the money that we got it and the money's coming, and we know that we're going to do it as phase 1 and phase 2, and hopefully when the $500,000 appropriation that we got last year gets to the point where we can get the state land or get the state to approve that we can go across state land and clean that ditch. And Mr. Rodriguez, I understand that they have agreed to do that. We're just going through the paperwork process. Is that correct?
Yes. The amendment that we'll be presenting to the board in the future, they're going to take care of all 3 of those bullet points on the agenda cover sheet. They're going to revise the language to give us permission to do work on state land. They're also going to provide the additional funding, the $455,000, and then also extend the timeline. Since we'll be able to extend the scope of work on the project or extend the boundaries.
Well, while I appreciate them doing all that for us, I still want to continue going forward with the first phase of that as quickly as we can. Hopefully we can get it done before we have more flooding rains in the area and we can start that process. So I appreciate y'all's hard work on this, trying to get a good project for the residents and the farmers in East Palatka to get some of those areas drained. So you don't really need anything from us other than that today, informational only. Okay, good deal. I appreciate that. And with that, that completes item 4, transportation workshop. Next, we're going to go with the administrator's comments. You ready, Terry, for any comment?
Administrator has no comments, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Need to be careful. You'll make me fall out of my chair. Okay, next we're going to ask Colonel Commando, do you have any comments for us today, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're gonna do commissioner requests, and we're gonna start with Commissioner Rawls. Do you have any requests today, sir?
Not at this time. I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harvey?
Mr. Chairman, no, I don't have any. I congratulate you on probably running the shortest transportation meeting we've ever had in the history that I've been there. So thank you, sir.
You know, can I ask a question real quick?
You just blew that up, Mr. Harvey.
Yep.
Go ahead, Commissioner Rawls. Sure.
Well, so Julianne gave us the update on the Fort Gates. Do we know the status of the agreement with Baker Design Build? They're the ones that are doing the load calculations.
Yes, sir. That agreement's been executed by your chairman as authorized by the BOCC at a meeting prior.
Thank you.
Okay, so they've been turned loose to get those.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll follow up then and find out.
I believe that they gave us the projection as reported in the project update that it'll take them about 30 days, depending on how much back and forth they get with FDOT.
I know that Mr. Liu said that literally all he wants to see is the finalized load calcs, and he had a conversation with what's the lady's name from Tamara? Yeah, Tamara.
That's from Baker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah. So
correct.
she met with Roger Liu from FDOT, just kind of as an update for you guys. And Mr. Liu said he's fine with the design. He's fine with the load calculations if they come in on the software that she's using. They'll take a look at it, and they're willing to fast track that and get it approved so we can get to work on that. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Were you done, Commissioner Harvey?
I was, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Pickens.
I still think you have the record for the shortest transportation meeting since I've been here. So, good meeting. And to add to that, talked to Travis Roberts yesterday, and he did say things are moving along. So we're nearing the end of this, and I just appreciate everybody's efforts on this. So hopefully we can get the ferry running again soon. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Goddard.
I have nothing.
Okay, I'd just like to say that Mike Troxel, welcome to the team. I think you've done very well since you've been here. I think you need kudos already for taking 5 Class A personalities and keeping us calmed down enough to you be able to do your job. And I do appreciate you working with the commission as far as trying to find out which roads need to be done the worst that are the best for the maintenance and the future costs for Putnam County. One last thing before I adjourn the meeting, Ms. Parsons, was there any meeting comments that came in?
No, sir, I just checked it.
Okay, if there's nothing else to come before the board today in workshop, this workshop is hereby adjourned.